How's it going, everybody? I am the Texas Man. I hope you guys are all having a fabulous day. Please give this video a thumbs up if you guys really enjoy it. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Also, do me the biggest favor of all, hit that bell notification button so you guys don't miss out on future videos or streams here on the Texas Man channel. With that, of course, we are continuing on with reading through the Island 3 Unleashed. This is part 2. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out part 1, make sure you guys check out that video. And with that, let's get right into it. This is part 2. Um, and this will be starting off in chapter 2, Agents of the Core. Let's get into it. No one could have survived that attack on Island 3. So, give the order to launch the missiles so that the creatures can no longer be unleashed a second time, said General Black to Agent Andrew. No, said Chris. I'm sorry, Chris, Tiffany, and you too, Alice. But the fact of the matter stands that no one is alive in that base, said Black. Negative. I have the faith of God that the Woodson family survived the attack. Do you really want to have their blood on your hands? Replied Chris. Andrew and Ted looked at Black to wait for the confirmation of the order to burn the base to a crisp. Black looked at his agents, thought about what Chris spoke, and gave the order to have the missile launch stand down. What's your game plan? Because if we don't find a way to end this invasion from continuing, the president will shut down this program, said Black. Not if President Jesse Stahl is killed, replied Tiffany. I would like to travel to Island 3 to confirm the agents of the Corps are dead, and maybe discover clues to whom or what is unleashing the creatures globally. Afterwards, you can bomb the place to the ground, said Chris. Done. Let's board an airplane and get going, said Black. The Miller family, the 2 agents, and 1 general boarded an airplane inside of the underground base and headed for Island 3. Future scene. Jack did not believe Titus at all at the information, yet believed him since it was the only thing that made sense, and realized he destroyed the only way home, and suddenly began to remember everything about his powers. Present day. Jack, wake up, said Kate. Sorry, honey, said Kate. I'm sorry. Try that again. Jack, wake up, said Kate. Sorry, honey, said Jack. Are you okay? Asked Kate. I think so. However, I had a dream about the future, said Jack. What was it about? Asked Kate. I can't be certain because the picture was speechy and blurry. Yet it appeared like I was talking with Titus in a dark room while I was being informed of me having superpowers, said Jack. That's odd, said Kate. Suddenly, the alien shuttle that traveled the globe blasted above the base, and the agents watched it as it headed for the other core base. God rest their souls. No one in that base will live once it lands, said Jack. Hello there, said a voice. Jack and Kate ducked for cover behind a metal box and drew their pistols. It's okay. I'm not going to harm you. My name is Agent Phil Snake of the Corps, said the voice. The agents slowly revealed themselves to the man in agent clothing and aimed their pistols at the man in front of them 10 feet away from their position. How did you live, and how can you prove you're an agent? Asked Jack. The same way you did, by avoiding the fight outside. Here is my clearance badge, said Agent Phil, tossing a wallet from his pants pocket to Jack. Jack checked the wallet, and the man's story was not a fake. Jack tossed Phil his wallet back, and the parents lowered their pistols. Is that your son behind you? Asked Phil. Yes. We were about to bury him by leaving this building he died inside of, and place him in the ground outside, said Kate. I will help you if you would like an extra hand, said Phil. Yes, please, replied Kate. Suddenly the sound of large engines was heard by the agents of the Corps, and they raced outside to see a plane coming towards the base. Moments later, a swarm of pterodactyls attacked the plane and ripped apart the plane with extreme force, resulting in the planes crashing. 30 seconds later, the pterodactyls flew away from the area, and the plane crashed. We have to help any survivors, said Jack. The agents entered a new clip of ammunition into their pistol and placed them back in their holster. The group dashed for the crash site inside of the base perimeter for about 10 minutes and saw 5 familiar faces and one new face, escaping the plane's remains with ease. Jack, Kate, and Phil assisted in the survivors' escape from the blazing plane, and everyone followed Jack inside of the building that still had the body of Cody lying on the ground and where the creatures once were caged. Jack and Kate greeted Chris and Tiffany as friends while also meeting the miller's daughter, Alice, for the first time. "I warned you that this could have happened, General Black," said Jack, greeting Andrew, Ted, and Black. "We have to put the past behind us right now and focus on the task at hand. The President will be dealing with me and the company once the issue at hand is resolved," said Black. "Why did your family come along with our fellow agents and Commander after what just took place hours ago?" asked Kate to the Miller family. "We wanted to be sure everyone was dead before Black gave the order to burn this base to the ground with missiles," replied Tiffany. "Jack, do you know whom or what is the causing of the creatures to be unleashed?" asked Chris. "The two alien shuttles are under the control of a mumming leader known as Titus," said Jack. Suddenly, Phil's face turned red and spit a piece of hardened dirt from his mouth onto the steel ground. "Sorry about that. Please continue," said Phil, acting odd for an agent. "Titus has Station 1 to be docked with the core space station and have the other shuttle unleash the creatures globally. We watched it as it headed for Base 2 and is now Titus's main base of operations. The reason being is that it is located away from the main island and is big enough to house his operations. Lastly, Titus has made a magical bond with the creatures to mind control them to do his will, which means if we killed Titus, then all the creatures around the world would die," said Jack. "Great information collecting, Agent Jack. Let's board the train outside and head for the other base to end Titus once and for all," said Black. "Not until I bury my son properly," said Kate. Andrew, Chris, Jack, and Ted lifted Cody's body off of the steel floor, carried it outside, and placed it in a pit Jack and Kate already dug up, and everyone joined in to bury the body with dirt. 10 minutes later, the covering of dirt ceased, and everyone gave a short speech about Cody. Jack and Kate cried for their young son's loss and knew he was in heaven waiting for them to join him soon. After 10 more minutes, the ceremony of Cody Whitson's passing was concluded. The group boarded the train and set it on autopilot to the Titus's base through the mountains, into the Black Swamp, and around a volcano. The 20-car train moved slowly throughout the mountain with ease, and the group was amazed at their sight. The mountains, each, if studied closely, seemed to have a face carved out of them. As the train continued to move on the tracks, the group moved from the front control car to the second car to sit down and talk. "I'm sorry for your loss, Kate," said Tiffany, attempting to comfort the grieving mother of her dead child. "Thank you, Tiffany. At least in the future we will be together again in heaven," said Kate. As Jack sat down lastly in one of the remaining rotatable chairs, Black and Andrew watched Phil very carefully, wondering who he really was by his body movements. Seconds later, once Jack sat down, Andrew could no longer contain himself from asking a question and stood up out of his chair. "Agent Phil, what is your purpose on Island 3? Also, why is it that I've never seen you before on our bases here, or on the main island?" asked Andrew. "I was just assigned by the President to take over Agent Jack and Agent Kate's post the day before this nightmare," replied Phil, dying down the heat from Andrew, who was still standing. "Prove it," said Jack, ready to pull his pistol from its holster and kill the possible imposter. "Does this verify?" asked Phil, revealing his clearance badge and data stating his mission. Andrew sat down, and Jack kept his pistol in its holster. However, Andrew still decided to keep a close eye on the new agent to make sure he was not an imposter. "Let's open up the armory," said Jack, leaving his chair and walking over to an enormous closet. Jack opened the wooden closet and revealed the multiple guns stored on board the train. "What is all that for?" asked Ted. "In case we run into some obstacles along the way before reaching Titus's base. We should be prepared for creatures to attack us, replied Jack. Jack passed out the numerous weapons to everyone except for Alice. In the end of the giving of weapons, the following was what each person had as a weapon. Jack and Kate had a pistol and a machine gun. Andrew and Ted had a machine gun. Chris, Tiffany, and Black had a shotgun, and Phil had only a pistol because he wanted nothing else. Though while the group sat down again in their chairs, the train was hit from the sides by something. "What was that?" asked Alice. Suddenly, the train was hit from both sides again and began to be lifted off of the tracks. Jack raced out of car 2 into car 1 and shut down the engines to the train. Again the train was slammed from the sides while Jack returned to the rest of the group in car 2. "What are we going to do?" asked Ted, with an extremely panicking look on his face. "I don't know. I'm not sure what is attacking us," replied Jack. Another round of slamming occurred, and this time gigantic horns poked through the sides of the train and nearly went through Andrew's head and legs. "Everyone follow me. This train is about to be derailed," exclaimed Jack. Jack opened the exit hatch in the roof, and the group of 9 began to climb out one by one onto the train's roof. Once everyone was on the roof, the team continued onwards to jump the gap between car 1 and car 2 to reach the rooftop of car 1. Moments later, the group carefully climbed down the side ladder. Just as Kate was about to leave the transport, the train began to complete its derailing. "Kate, you have to jump onto the track," said Jack. The rest of the group watched as Kate began to slip off of the train and the train near its derailing. Suddenly, Kate jumped off the train was derailed, and Jack's wife landed on the train tracks. "Look!" said Alice. The group looked to see 8 creatures with 4 feet and 3 horns, with one of its noses and the other 2 on its head, which formed a triangle. They were being attacked by Triceratops. Also, coming out of the trees were 4 Spinosauruses. "Run!" yelled Jack. The group raced on the train tracks east, while both the Triceratops and the Spinosauruses chased after the group of 9 tiny dinner meals. Seconds later, the creatures realized they would never be able to reach the humans and decided to battle each other for a meal. The group ceased in their run and watched the battle take place. The combative monsters were raging in the war for food. The Triceratops continued to ram their horny heads at the spikes of death, while the spikes swung their tails and bit their teeth into the herbivores. After 1 minute of fighting, 2 Triceratops were bleeding to death from ripped open stomachs, and 3 Spinosauruses were killed by instantly having sharp horns jammed into their sides. The remaining Triceratops fled the area. However, the last Spinosaurus looked at the humans and began to regain his energy to charge after them. "Run!" yelled Jack. The group dashed out of the mountains of Island 3 on the train tracks and could see the black swamp up ahead. While everyone was blasting away with their machine guns, shotguns, and pistols, they looked below the tracks to realize bubbly mud was below them. Quicksand. "Everyone cease fire and get behind me. The Spinosaurus can only reach us now by walking on the train tracks, since the rest of the ground is quicksand," said Jack. The team raced past Jack, stopped, and turned around to see the tall creature beginning its walk onto the tracks. Once the Spinosaurus had both feet on the tracks and was close to eating Jack, the leader of the group used his odd super strength powers and smashed his fist into the tracks without an injury. Vibrations were made, and the tracks began to separate in front of Jack and around the dinosaur. "For my son, Cody," said Jack, smashing the tracks a second time. Suddenly, the tracks broke apart, and the Spinosaurus began to lose balance. Within seconds, the creature fell off the tracks into the quicksand and drowned. Jack walked over to the rest of the group and saw their shocked faces. We need to find out why you have all these odd powers," said Chris. "That would be interesting to learn why I am the way I am," said Jack. The group continued east on the tracks and entered the black swamp. It was a creepy place, too, without protection of the train. Numerous sounds were being made by odd things, and the fog made the visibility low. Minutes passed on, and soon the team of 9 saw a steam-powered boat alongside of the tracks. "Everyone on board that boat and into the Black Swamp we go," said Jack, being the first person to board the vessel. Jack took over driving the steam-powered boat and kept the ship near the train tracks as a guide to Titus's base while traveling through the Black Swamp. That's going to do it for me, guys. This has been part 2 of the I-13 Unleashed. Look forward to part 3 coming out very soon here on the channel. You guys have a good one.